You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
Okay, so I have a new thing that I'm obsessed with.
Mm-hmm.
I've already told you about it, but I feel like I have to tell our listeners about it because it would be rude of me not to. That's how much fun it is. So, okay, everybody knows Wordle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grace and I play Wordle. It's fun. But what's more fun than Wordle is Worldle.
Mm-hmm.
World, L-E, Worldle. And it's
Mhm.
basically like Wordle. It's every day. And you log in and they give you an outline of a country. And you have 6 guesses to guess what country it is in the world. Okay. And so you make a guess and then it tells you how many kilometers you are away from the correct country. And then it gives you like a directional arrow. So north, south, east, west, or any of like the in between arrows. Let me just tell you, I am a freaking genius.
Do you
I'm
think you've
learning.
gotten better?
Yes, I know
But-
where so many countries are right now. It's insane.
But do they repeat a lot of the countries?
So it's entirely random. We've
Mhm.
never got a repeat except for today, randomly. We've been playing for 3 weeks now.
Mhm.
And
What was the repeat?
Moldova, which I know where that is
Ooh.
now. It popped up and Matt's like, do you know what that is? I was like, that's Moldova. We just had this. I know where Moldova is now. So
But I feel like I would like see it once, then I would forget about it. Like I'd have to be seeing the same ones over and over again.
So we have recently gotten a ton of Africa countries, okay?
Mhm.
And what we do is like you play and you guess and like initially you're like, I have no idea where any of these countries are and you kind of just guess ones. And then after you finish and you get the correct answer or they tell you the correct answer, you go to the map and you like, well, Matt and I go to the map and we look at every country that we guessed to kind of get an idea of like where it is in relation to the correct answer from that day. What does it look like? What is it close to? And the more you do that, the more familiar you become. So it's not like I know where Somalia is because we've gotten Somalia 5 times. I know Somalia because I guessed it wrong 5 times, went to look at the continent of Africa, looked at all the different countries, and now I'm like, oh, okay. I am a million times better at countries now than I was, but I'm definitely not amazing. Sometimes
Well, it's only been 3 months.
3 weeks. I'll tell you
3
that.
weeks.
3 weeks. But I feel like I'm actually learning something. Although I do have to say, the hardest to guess are the island nations.
Mhm.
So when the islands pop up, we're like, today's a wash because there are so many islands it could be, and it's very difficult.
Is it just the shape of the country, or do they give you like the shape of the countries around it? Because I think that's what
Just-
would throw me off.
Just the shape of the country. And you have to kind of go off of like, I mean, you know immediately what an island chain looks like because it's a bunch
Yeah.
of different islands, right? Although one day we had like, it wasn't the Virgin Islands, but it was something like that. It was a plural island chain, the answer,
Mhm.
but it showed one island. And we got it wrong because we thought it was one island. Later in the day, we went back and they had updated the image to show all of the islands. And we were like, someone must have complained. Anyway, just to say, it's World, L-E. Google it, give it a try. It's a lot of fun. If you are like me and wish you were better at geography, this is for you.
Mhm. I have to start doing that. I think I actually downloaded an app that did that, but then I didn't stick with it. So that's on me.
It's on you. It's a good game to play with a friend or a partner, say, because, you know.
And another good thing you could do with a friend or partner is listen to this podcast, Two Girls, One Crossword.
Wow.
Your favorite weekly Podword Crosscast. I'm Grace.
And I'm Chelsea. Thanks for listening yet again.
Yet again.
Yet again.
Should we just jump right into the Pollapalooza from last week? 'Cause I feel like it was kind of controversial.
It was a controversial one, and we got a lot of votes. I was like really into how many
We
votes
did.
we got.
We got 35 votes, which is like more than we normally get. So please
Yes.
follow us on Twitter and vote in these damn polls. Okay.
Yes.
Remember, Chelsea's topic last week was Crayola, and she says that she pronounces crayon like crown,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I pronounce it like crayon. And I like looked online to see, okay, what are all the possible like 3 definitions or 3 ways to pronounce the word crayon? And that's what we asked. And online it said there were 3 different ways only: crayon, crayon, and crown. So that is a legitimate way to pronounce it.
It is. It is. Unfortunately, it is. I'm
Yes.
not happy about that, but
However, only 5% of people said that they pronounced it crown. But that's more than one, so you're not the only one out there.
yes, true.
Then 26% said they pronounced it crayon, like me.
Mm.
And then 69% said they say crayon.
You
I
go
don't
for
have
the
time
two
to
syllables.
do that.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Some of y'all people are out there, you're like, I must pronounce, like, I feel like crown should only have one syllable. And
Mhm.
of the 3 options you posted, 2 out of 3 are single syllable.
Mhm.
So you got, I mean, the people that won are the double syllable, but I'm saying, isn't your mouth like a little
Tired.
tired? You know, keep it simple. I think that's one of the things I've noticed with the accent that I have from being born in South Jersey, raised near Philly, is that everything is a little close in the mouth. Like
Mhm.
water, you don't open your mouth that high, or bagel, you don't open your mouth. You don't use a lot of the muscles in your mouth. Hey, it's all about efficiency.
People in Jersey, they got weak mouth muscles. What
We
you're
got weak,
saying?
yeah, we
They've
got
atrophied.
weak jaws.
All right. Well, if you have anything to say about that, let us know.
We also got a comment saying it drove somebody crazy that I say crown, and to that I say, that was the point.
She did that on purpose.
Sure.
I have never heard anyone say it like that. So, but I respect that that's how you say it, and what am I going to do?
It is.
I don't want to shame you for that.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like of the words that I say weird because of my accent, crown is my least favorite just because it gets me the most weird looks.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people can forgive the other ones or they think they're interesting enough to be forgiven. Like water gets forgiven because it's so fucking weird. But crown is just offensive to people.
Well, it's also hard to figure because crown means something else. So people are like, what are
Exactly.
you talking about? How do you
Right.
say DRAWER? Like an addresser.
A drawer.
Okay. I say a drawer too. But
Drawer.
my drawer? No, just
A
drawer. My girlfriend claims that her dad, he's from Jersey, says it draw.
Okay, so yes.
And so that's how she says it.
I am going to be on Alex's side for this just because most AW words, I will add an L to the end, like Paul. I pronounce it.
Well, no, I do that too. That's a Florida thing. Like, oh, it's raw.
Raw,
But drawer
Paul.
is ER.
Drawer. Yeah, I say drawer. But drawing?
No, she says it DRA, like draw.
Draw.
No L.
Draw. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Listeners, if you say it like that too, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like people have pointed out to both of us that, which I don't know why we both say it
It's
that way
so
since we're not
random.
from the same spot, but yeah.
Gotta
Raw,
add.
draw.
It feels like the word needs an ending.
Yeah.
Right?
Raw?
Raw. You just leave your mouth hanging wide open. You gotta end it
I
draw. You gotta do that.
I need closure.
Yeah, we gotta close it up. Close up shop.
Raw. All right. Well,
Raw
that's
and wriggling.
sometimes I feel like I don't know. I'm all messed up because Miami has a very specific accent.
Mm.
I don't have that anymore. I think I have a Chicago accent now because I've lived here for so long.
Mm.
If I ever moved to the UK, it'd be so annoying. I already do, like when I'm around British, like our boss who's British.
It's
We
really
constantly
bad.
talk to him in a British accent. So I feel like if I moved to the UK, I would be one of those annoying Americans who had a British
I
accent.
absolutely mimic the sounds that I hear around me, especially British accents. I find myself wanting, if someone's speaking to me in a British accent, I'm like, chip, chip, cheerio, right back to them. I can't help myself. It's too fun.
And I feel like British people can get away with so much because it just sound like I've worked with people who are in the UK and they're like cursing up a storm in a
They are.
professional setting, but it doesn't
Yeah.
even sound bad because
I
it's
know.
like, you know,
I know.
I can't drop an F-bomb in the middle of like talking to people that I work with about
It's funny.
work. But
I do all the time. But hey, they should
That's
fire
you.
me if they don't like it. Actually, please don't fire me.
yeah, careful what you say.
Don't.
Should we get into our heights and shites?
Yeah, speaking of cursing, let's get into our heights and shites.
Cursing. We never curse.
Never. Not
That's
not
why
ever.
we say heights and shites. Let's see. I feel like I don't have that many this week.
There are some good ones this week, though. I did enjoy a lot of the puzzles. I'll start off something simple. There's just
Do
a
it.
couple from this puzzle. The Monday, June 27th, New Yorker by Elizabeth C. Gorski. There's just a couple in here I wanted to point out. The first being 27 across. They may be salted. And the answer was rims. And I just wanted a margarita now. Hello, it's almost Friday. Give this girl a margarita.
Give her a margarita.
I'm literally always saying it. Okay. And then 39 across, I learned something new. Mudslingers, question mark. And the answer was baristas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, WTF does this mean? And so I had to look it up. And apparently, Mudslingers is a drive-through coffee chain.
Oh, I thought it was because people call coffee mud.
Do they?
Maybe that's why the chain is called Mudslingers.
Oh, maybe it's not. They weren't referencing the chain here.
If I don't drink coffee, so I don't know. I'm not in with this crowd, but I
She's
can
like,
imagine something
I don't
like, I
drink
need my
coffee."
cup o' mud.
Cup
you know?
o' mud. Yeah. Anyway, there's a couple mudslingers around us, Grace. If we ever end up going to Indiana, we could probably hit up a mudslinger just for the sheer novelty of it.
On our big 2 girls, 1 crossword trip to Indiana to hit up multiple, and on the way we'll go to Graceland Cemetery to hit up
Yes.
that guy's grave.
Yes. We've
Pullman.
got lots of things to do.
Robert Pullman.
Yep. That was just a simple one. What do you got?
I did that puzzle as well. I liked 15 across. House coverer. And the answer was C-SPAN.
Mm-mm.
I was like, house cover, like a roof.
Yeah, right. Siding? Paint?
I did the Monday New York Times by Drew Schmenner.
They're going to say Dro Schmo. Sorry.
By Dro Schmo.
Yeah.
21 down. Animal, quote unquote, relative, an astonished person may claim to be. A monkey's uncle. I feel like we
great.
should be using that phrase more.
Do you want to hear a monkey phrase that I have that we can use?
Yes.
I'd see a monkey shit in the woods for a quarter.
You made that up.
I didn't make that up. My
Okay.
dad says it.
All right. So it's made up.
But it's good. It's supposed to be like, why not?
Yeah.
The cost is so low. Let's do it.
I would just pay to see a monkey in the woods.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. But I feel like that's actually something worth paying for. A wild monkey.
True. Anyway,
And then 12 down, instrument heard at a ballpark. This is not like a punny one, but it was organ. And I just have to say, I recently went to a baseball game, which may shock some of our listeners because I've repeatedly said that I don't care about baseball. But I went to a baseball game and it was actually a good time.
okay.
And they have a live organ player there. And I'm thinking
They
this is
do.
a great job for anyone who's an organ player because there's not that many options. Like you
There
work
aren't.
at a church.
And
I'd
what
rather
else?
work at a baseball stadium.
Yeah, you probably get free
And
hot dogs.
He was doing like TikTok songs too. Just like a little bit, you know.
But still,
I know.
for the young folk.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, just wanted to know I went to a baseball game. I love like a little hot dog, a little soda. That's what I go for.
It's a cheeky little treat.
Mm-hmm.
Grace and I like to treat ourselves
Like every day.
every day. And you know what? What
Life
else
is
do I have
short.
going? Yeah, exactly. What else am I going to spend my money on? If not a drive-through Chochi Chols from McDonald's or a large iced coffee from Dunk's because I like to shake the ice around. It makes me feel good. Serotonin.
Imagine. Yeah. You need ice in the cup.
Okay, I'll take us to the Tuesday, June 28th New Yorker by Eric Agard. 24 across, Nope Star Palmer. Enter was Kiki.
Kiki.
I just like see Kiki in the crossword. She's
I love Kiki.
an icon. 37 across, blank to worker pay ratio, statistic that for S&P 500 companies in 2020 averaged 299 to 1. And the answer was CEO. So I'll read that again to you with the fill-in.
Oh my god.
CEO to worker pay ratio, statistic that for S&P 500 companies in 2020 averaged 299 to 1. Wake up, sheeple. They don't care about you. CEOs don't care about you. But they wouldn't be able to live without you, so we should... Whatever.
Can't get into this, but yes.
But you all know the sentiment that I'm conveying right now, okay? That's it. That's it and that's all. If you don't, I got nothing else to say.
Go.
Just a couple more from this one. 48 across, fixes a flat in a way, question mark.
Adds volume. Teases?
Very nice.
Yes.
Wrong. But
no, that would have been good though.
auto-tunes.
Take note. Oh, that's
just
nice
as
too.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Eric never lets down.
No.
T-
Oh, it's Eric, yeah.
10 down. Send a message via post, question mark. This one tripped me up. The answer was resign and protest. Very good.
Oh.
So, good puzzle. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Classic Eric hitting it out of the
Classic.
park to make a baseball reference. Since,
She goes to
the world's biggest
one
baseball fan.
game, and now she loves baseball. Season pass holder, much?
Imagine. It's an investment.
I know. That actually, if I had money, that's something I would do for the joke of it. But I don't have money, so I can't.
You know what's missing from professional baseball games? I used to go to like the minor league, whatever it is.
Yes.
And then they're doing like chicken dances and all types of stuff.
Yeah.
And I talked about baseball last week too.
I
Anyways.
did. Anyway.
Sorry,
on.
I'm changing for everyone's eyes. Did you do the Wednesday, June 29th, New Yorker by Patrick Barry?
I did indeed.
There's a couple that I liked from here.
Yes.
19 across, fight to get a seat, ? Election.
Good.
53 across, book with an agent ? Spy novel.
It was, yeah,
Smart.
really good.
There was like a little 3 clues that are all kind of close to each other. That were all Star Wars related. So 58 across, Princess from Alderaan in Star Wars was Leia. And then 59 across, sci-fi subgenre for Star Wars was space opera. And 46 down, across is love. Or 58 across is love. Han for
Love it.
Leia's love. But I feel like it's fun that he put that many different Star Wars references close to each other.
I love when that happens, when like
Mm-hmm.
two things cross or really close to each other and they're sort of related. I love when that happens. And I want to be like, did you do this on purpose? Tell me.
Yes, they did. 61 across, place you might search for a mate ? Sock drawer or sock draw, as some people might say. This one's for you. 37 down, calendar innovation introduced by Julius Caesar.
Leap year, baby. Which I've talked about, episode 86, As the World Turns. Yes, I have that one memorized because I looked at it about 30 minutes ago. So.
I wonder why.
Who knows?
I wonder if it has something to do with your topic. I also liked, well, I don't know, this one was weird to me. 4 down, what Tab Cola contained according to its ads? 1 calorie. It was a 1 calorie soda. Which I mean, because Tab is like Diet Coke, basically. I think like diet sodas say that they have 0 calories because it's like you only have to report it if it's more than a small amount. But I bet you Tab had like 0.76, whatever. So they just said 1 calorie.
Sure.
But Tab is like it was popular in like the 70s or 80s. The family that I babysat for, they literally had like, that's all they had in their house was Tab. I don't know where they even bought it from. Like they had a refrigerator in their garage and it was just filled with Tab soda.
They loved their Tab.
But I don't even know where you can buy Tab
Where do
now.
you buy Tab?
I don't know. I don't know if they had it since the 80s or they just had like a hookup or something, but.
Interesting. I'm wondering how, I feel like the new Tab, it's not like cola, but like LaCroix sparkling water, flavored sparkling water kind of has that same vibe. Like I love soda. As you know, Grace and I really like Coca-Cola. I'm a Pepsi girl. But when I don't have Coke in the house, I have a LaCroix. And I try to keep ones that are like really flavorful. Like I like peach from Waterloo. And I also like the orange LaCroix because
the tangerine tastes like orange soda.
Or exactly. It's like orange soda. And sometimes I'm just craving the seltzer sensation in my mouth. And like you take that sip and it's like that pop of the bubbles. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I needed. Anyway, we're pro soda on this podcast.
We are. We love a little Coke. I was just telling Chelsea, like, I don't know how this is, but I swear that I could survive off of Coke and Goldfish. Like, power me through the day. There's something, like if you're ever feeling so tired in the middle of the day, if I have a Coke and like a little thing of Goldfish, I could like run a marathon.
It's over for you idiots. Seriously. Very well. Also from that puzzle, I liked 56 across, bottle full in an elementary school art classroom, and the answer was Elmer's glue. I particularly just wanted to say that I liked that because I liked seeing Elmer's glue in the crossword, but also it kind of made me think of the topic last week and my childhood and like all the arts and crafts I used to do. And then also
school
like
supply shopping.
Putting Elmer's glue in your hand and rubbing it together until it dried and then peeling it off.
Or like the plastic pencil cases It kind of
Yes.
had like that little indentation of a rectangle on the top, and then you could put glue in there,
Yes.
and then it was like a little bookmark.
Yes. Yes. We were so
I love
smart.
crazy how like we did those same things.
I
Like
know.
kids all over the country
We're all the
were
same.
making Elmer glue hands.
Yes. The last one from that puzzle that I liked was Levendown Panhandler question mark. The answer was chef.
Nice.
It got a little laugh out of me. I'll move us on to the Thursday, June 30th USA Today puzzle by Eric Agard. This one was in fact constructed and edited by Eric Agard, according to the byline. I'm just going to start with calling out Three Down, which sounds amazing. Maybe we should watch it, Grace. Musical sci-fi film set in Rwanda, and the answer is Neptune Frost. And I was like, I had never heard of this, so I obviously Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
It's from 2021, and this is like the Wikipedia like little blurb or the Google blurb, right? A group of escaped Colton miners forms an anti-colonialist computer hacker collective in the hilltops of Burundi. They soon attempt to take over of the authoritarian regime that's exploiting the region's nature resources and its people.
And it's a musical?
And it's a musical, Grace. I'm like,
All right, I'm down.
so thanks, Eric. We have a new thing on our watch list. I'm very excited about that. But I also wanted to call out the theme because that was part of his theme. The puzzle was called Carry a Tune, where all the answers, the themed answers, have the word tune in it. So we have Neptune Frost. And then 9 down, suitable moment, opportune moment. Or it was an opportune moment. Sorry, I like write the answers down and I mess this one up. But the play and the theme is
Opportune.
opportune. Thank you. And I really liked 14 down, confection popularized in California in the early 1900s. And the answer was fortune cookie, which would have been my topic if I hadn't already done my topic by the time I solved this puzzle.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds like a Chelsea topic.
So, yeah. I have one more puzzle after this. Did you have anything else?
No, you go.
Okay. I did the Thursday, June 30th New York Times by Samuel A. Donaldson and Doug Peterson. I just wanted to call out the theme, which is I had so much fun with this goddamn theme. I feel like other people, like this is a theme that would turn people off of crosswords, but not this
you.
girl, not me.
We're built
feel like-
different.
We are built different. Okay. So the theme, the revealer was 40 across, warning before a gory movie scene, or a phonetic hint to answering 4 rows in this puzzle. And the answer is cover your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so just to like skip ahead a bit, there are hidden letter I's in the black squares in the puzzle.
Oh, okay.
Love this. Okay. And I love the way that they laid out the clues to get like the answers. So across, they would have 3 clues, and the clues, essentially the answers looked like nonsense. But what you had to do is you had to read it all the way across with the eyes filled in where the black boxes kind of separated from the 3 answers. For example, 14 across, mechanical. The answer was vend, V-E-N-D. I was like, what does that mean? 18 across, snack. Oh, sorry, 18 across, snack. And the answer was N-G-M-A-C-H. It's like, what? And then 19 across, dispensers. And the answer was N-E-S. But if you read all those answers all the way across and you add I's in between where the answers go, it reads vending machines. And if you read the clues as one clue, it's mechanical snack dispensers. And the answer is vending machines.
I love that.
It's fun. Another. This was across 24, 27, and 30 across. French cake advocate. And the answer was Marie Antoinette. 53 across, 55 across, and 57 across. Atlantic Division skaters. And the answer was Detroit Red Wings. And then 62 across, 63 across, and 66 across. Home office convenience was all-in-one printer. It was just really fun.
Yeah.
And it threw me through a loop for a second, but
I like the cover your eyes.
I like it too. And then just throwing this out there because it made me laugh and I feel like it's right up our alley in terms of humor. 52 across. Sussex smell. And the answer was odor, but it just had a U in it because it's British. So
Amazing.
lots of fun with that one. And that's all I got.
All right. Shall we flip the coin?
Let's flip the coin. Grace, we very well could have the same topic.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess listeners, we're about to find out live on air. Let's flip the coin now. It's heads. I'm going first this week.
All right. Well, good for you. Let me just sit back, relax, take a sip of my water.
And enjoy the show. So my topic comes from the Thursday, June 30th USA Today puzzle by Eric Agard. But I did my topic and all of the research before I got to the Monday, June 27th New Yorker by Elizabeth Gorski. And it had the same exact thing in that puzzle. So I'm going to read you both clues and both answers and be like, wow, I was meant to do this topic. Okay. From the Eric puzzle in the USA Today, 6 across, alter blank. And the answer was ego.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the New Yorker by Elizabeth C. Gorski, 12 down, Major Tom and Ziggy Stardust for 2. Alter egos. So I'm talking about alter egos today.
Ooh. I didn't do that topic, but
it's something you would have done for sure. Yeah, I'm talking about alter egos, and I was curious to see like what I was going to learn from all of this, because I feel like it's such a broad topic, but it could have also been a very narrow topic too. And well, let's just get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So an alter ego is an alternate self. Okay, it's believed to be it's distinct from like your normal or true personality. That's what makes it alter. It's a different version of your true self. And we've all seen alter egos in movies, TV shows. You probably read about alter egos in books, right? But where does the term come from? Well, we gotta go back way, way, way back to the 1st century Rome, okay? The word alter ego was used for the first time by Cicero, who was a Roman statesman, lawyer, scholar, and philosopher. And the word itself is Latin, and it means other self. And like I said, it was used for the first time by Cicero. He used it in a letter that he wrote to his BFF, Atticus, okay? And in the letter, Cicero wrote, quote, "You are a second brother to me, an alter ego to whom I can tell everything," end quote.
They were very close.
They were so close. Okay. I thought this was interesting for a couple reasons, namely because when I think of alter egos, I don't necessarily think of another person, right? Not that it couldn't be, but when I think of an alter ego, I think of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Like one person turning into an alternate version of themselves. And so I was like, that's interesting. Why does he coined this term? What does this mean? So yeah, Cicero used the term to mean something entirely different than I think what a majority of people would say alter ego means today. There is a short but helpful essay by Adam Littlestone Loria called "A Community of Second Selves, the Alter Ego Dynamic and the Nature of Aristocratic Influence in the Late Republic." In the essay, Adam discusses how Roman dignitaries and aristocrats would use their personal webs of connection to extend their influences where they could not physically reach. So essentially, these aristocrats would use their family and friends to represent themselves in various contexts. And the word that they used to describe these people was alter egos. So it was Cicero who did this first in his letters to his closest friends, like his BFF Atticus. We see this dynamic a lot of friends standing in for him for various reasons. And I want to note that there's another important ancient Roman concept in play here. It's called amicitia, which is essentially this idea of two idolized people sharing a single soul across two bodies. The alter ego concept is related to this. Like they're used interchangeably in a lot of ways. So it's like a soulmate situation, but at the same time, a different person, but not necessarily like a romantic soulmate. We talked about like platonic soulmates when we talked about Mulan, but we think that they were probably gay anyway, but besides the point. Okay. So Cicero's alter ego, like I said, is directly connected to this concept of like the soulmate, right? But the function was not just to recognize one's soulmate, but to exert political power. The essay focuses on the socio-political implications of the alter ego dynamic. And in Cicero's letters, we see him writing to his brother, his closest friend Atticus, and a protege of his called Caelius Rufus, all of whom stood in for each other in both private and public context. They managed property, arranged marriages, and canvassed for support at the Senate during times of absences for one another. Most importantly, this is like the important part, the communities in which each of these men resided actually viewed their alter ego bonds in the same way as the people participating in the bond. For example, if Cicero planned to leave his post as governor, like if he was like going on a trip or something, and he left his brother in charge, the community would see the alter ego as Cicero. Therefore, like they would assume that Cicero was actually still there, even though he wasn't physically there.
So they're like parent trapping?
Parent trapping, exactly. It was kind of interesting to me because the origin of the term is not about a change in persona, but it's more about like how...
Who's your swap?
Who's your swap, right? But also it's about like exerting political power because it's not just about like Cicero leaving and his brother taking over for a couple days, but Cicero's brother could be like half a world away, and he writes to his brother and says, "Hey, bro, I need you to do this political thing for me in my name." And his brother could be like, "I'm taking over this town in the name because I'm Cicero and I'm doing it for Cicero because I'm his alter ego." So you could have this like vast web of political and like socioeconomic power that you might not be able to have if you didn't have an alter ego, right? And I was like, that is not what I thought alter ego meant, but that's kind of like how it started, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. So if that's the case, how did the phrase alter ego come to mean what it does today? Remember, we talked about this a couple minutes ago, that it's essentially just like a separate persona to your true persona. How did we get to that definition? Essentially, it was the development of medicine, specifically psychotherapy, that brought the term alter ego into its contemporary meaning. First, we'll talk about a guy named Anton Mesmer. He was a German physician. He came up with this idea called animal magnetism, and I'm not really going to go into like the depths of animal magnetism, but it's like, just so you know, it's categorized under alternative medicine. Okay. He believed that there is an invisible force of nature, and it was held by all living things, humans, animals, vegetables, like everything. He believed that this force could have physical effects, including healing. Like if you were in touch with the magnetism, you could like heal yourself. And his animal magnetism was also sometimes called mesmerism. Okay. Interesting, like mesmerized. Mesmerism evolved into what we now know as hypnotism. Okay. And I cannot get into the history of hypnotism, but I'm telling you, Grace, if it ever comes up in a crossword, you should do it because it sounds awesome. And it's definitely up your alley. Anyway, so... but the process of hypnotism does relate to alter egos. Hypnotism was a way in like the late 1700s into the 1800s for people to separate their various personalities. For example, people who practiced hypnotism at the time, it became clear to them that a person could show different behavior patterns when they were in a waking state versus when they were in hypnosis. And so that kind of crafted this idea that there are more than one personalities living inside of each person. And through hypnotism, you could bring those personalities to light. You can actually even go online today and type like, how to trigger my alter ego with hypnosis. And hundreds of articles come up. It's really interesting. And I'm a little scared about it because not all alter egos are nice, okay?
I know. It's like, I wonder what my alter ego would be like.
Yeah.
Maybe she's more productive.
Yeah, maybe she's more productive. Maybe, but some alter egos are evil.
Yeah. Maybe I'm the evil one.
Ooh. The drama. We're about to stir up some personal, internal drama. Let's get going. Okay. Another famed psychotherapist, a little-known man named Sigmund Freud, he also studied the idea of having more than one identity, something he called dual consciousness. Freud wrote about the theory of people having two internal identities. He wrote, quote, "We may most aptly describe them as cases of splitting the mental activities into two groups and say that the same consciousness turns to one or the other alternatively." So there's like a consciousness that they either go to this side or this side, depending on what's going on internally. I was like, okay. So essentially, like, this idea of like alter egos has been studied for a while in psychotherapy, right? We're going to move into modern psychotherapy. There's actually a known disorder called dissociative identity disorder, or DID. It was once called multiple personality disorder, if you're more familiar with that. People with DID have 2 or more separate personalities, with each personality having its own personal history, traits, likes, and dislikes. And these identities control a person's behavior at different times and can cause gaps in memory, as well as hallucinations and other problems. The cause of DID is usually some form of abuse or trauma in childhood, although it can be like somebody who's in war can form DID. It's not necessarily PTSD, but it's like a trauma response. Okay. And DID, this development of DID is it's the brain's way of distancing the victim or detaching them from their trauma. Okay. So a little bit more details about DID. It's DID if there are 2 or more distinct personality. So first there's a core identity, and that's like your true identity. That's like the one you were born with, right? And then everything else, all your other personalities are called alters. They're called alters for alternate personalities.
Yes.
Some people with DID have up to 100 alters, which sounds
It's hard to keep track of.
very difficult to keep track of. And alters tend to be very different from one another. The identities, they might have different genders, ethnicities, interests, and ways of interacting with the people in their lives or environments. So like if you kind of like slip into an alter state while you're like at the movies with a friend, it can cause problems, right? It can be dangerous. Other common signs and symptoms of DID include anxiety, delusions, depression, disorientation, drug or alcohol abuse, memory loss, suicidal thoughts, or self-harm. So it's like a legitimate disorder. People are diagnosed with this, and people go in between their true personality and their alters. So that's like a medical version of, quote, alter ego.
I see.
Which I was like, okay, that's interesting. We're going to move away from psychology. We're going to get into like, not that psychology isn't fun, but we're going to get more into like a pop culture thing. I want to talk about some famous alter egos throughout time. We'll start with the book, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson from 1886. Everyone is familiar with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Essentially, Mr. Hyde is the alter ego of Dr. Jekyll, and the characters are supposed to represent the war between good and evil inside every person that happens inside every person. Mr. Hyde's a psychopath, and Dr. Jekyll is a doctor, so he's a good moral man, right? And Jekyll and Hyde has now become synonymous with like people who have DID or split personality or something. That brings me to the Scarlet Pimpernel, which I was not familiar with. Have you heard of Scarlet Pimpernel?
I have not.
It's a book, right?
Okay.
By Baroness Orczy. It was published in 1905. What I find interesting about this is it is the prototype hero story. So prototype with a hero with a secret identity. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. So apparently the main character is a guy named Sir Percy Blakeney, and he leads a double life. During the day, he's like this rich, lazy, playboy. But by night, he is the Scarlet Pimpernel, a formidable swordsman and quick-thinking master of disguise and escape artist.
Ooh.
And this was like the building block for many superheroes, like, Superman and Clark Kent, Batman and Bruce Wayne, and the Incredible Hulk and Bruce Banner, for instance. Those are all alter egos as well.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous alter ego of all time is Hannah Montana. So I'm going to talk about her.
Yeah.
So Miley Stewart is your regular high school girl, but her alter ego is Hannah Montana, and she's living a double life as a superstar and just like your average teenage girl.
I just really think that like your friends would be able to tell that was just you in a wig. You
Yes.
think?
Yes.
I mean, I shouldn't talk because I have face blindness, so maybe I would be thrown off like with a lot of makeup and stuff.
Right.
But I feel like her disguise isn't good enough.
It's certainly not good enough. Not at all. But we ate it up. And then I'm just going to go through a quick list of some other famous alter egos. We've got Eminem and Slim Shady, Beyonce and Sasha Fierce, Bowie and Ziggy Stardust, which is like from the clue from Elizabeth's Puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Sacha Baron Cohen as Bruno.
Mm-hmm.
All of the Beatles as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Lady Gaga as Joe Calderone. Prince as Camille. Madonna as Madam X. Dwayne Johnson as The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And Donald Glover as Childish Gambino.
Some of those I had no idea.
Oh, like who?
What was the one you said before The Rock?
Madonna as Madam X.
I don't know that. Who's Madam X? I mean, I get it's Madonna's alter ego, but
Yeah, it's like,
to be fair,
all
I
of
don't know
these
that much
musicians-
about Madonna. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm just familiar with the album, really, but
Mhm.
like, it's just like Beyonce released "I Am Sasha Fierce," like,
Yeah.
and then she killed Sasha Fierce in 2010. By the way,
she in 2010.
killed her. I know, which feels crazy.
That feels like I
Right?
feel like she's been around longer, but
Nope.
wow.
I'm sure that she gets, called Sasha Fierce still, but like,
Mhm.
she was officially killed off in 2010.
Interesting.
Bye. And I'm gonna end here, but I did want to flag one really interesting article that I read on Psychology Today called "Altered Ego" by Joanne Ellison Rogers. And in the article, Rogers talks about how for a very long time in psychology, it was believed that people's personalities were set by a certain age, like they would not change. Freud believed it was set by 5. Most other people believed it was set by 30. And that after 30, there was no chance for you to like change your personality. But then there was this like bombshell like study that came out that changed everything, that, you can change your personality. And so the article was interesting because it talks about the elastic self, this idea that if you put enough effort into it past the age of 30, you can change one of the 5 core personality traits. And so I'll make sure that we link it in our episode description.
Yeah.
But
Because
that's
otherwise
like
we're locked in.
Yeah, it's a real life version of altered egos, altering your personality. You might not be willing to commit to like a full alter ego, but you might be willing to commit to changing one of the 5 core personality traits.
Do you know what the 5 core personality traits are?
I have to pull it up.
Just curious. I wonder what I would change.
I know. I think it's stuff like compassion, generosity.
Mm.
Let's see. Okay, so I believe the 5 are this: conscientiousness,
Mm-hmm.
agreeableness,
Okay.
neuroticism, openness to experience, and extroversion.
Those are the only 5? I feel like there's so much else that makes up someone's personality. Well, I'd like to be less neurotic. Don't we
True.
all?
Wouldn't we all? My doctor says it's only medication that can help me with that. So
I don't know. Maybe I'll go to a hypnotist. But like, can you make me less neurotic? No, I do want to go to a hypnotist so I can read in a car again.
yeah, that is something you can get hypnotized to, like.
Apparently. You have to really believe in it, though. So
Yeah. So we'll link out this article. It was interesting. If you get hypnotized, if you've been hypnotized, let us know. That'd be interesting. If you have an alter ego, let us know.
I feel like we should just make alter egos, and then every time we do something that we regret, we just blame it on them.
Yeah. Great idea.
Like Trace. Well, they say like you switch your name, like the first initials of your name. Since I'm Grace Topinka, Trace Gopinka is my alter ego.
Ah, so I'm Relcy Crowan.
Yeah.
No, Relcy Cohen.
Well, you can take like the first letter like up to the first vowel. So yeah, you'd be Relcy Chowen or Cohen, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Okay.
Classic Rel.
Actually, that's a cute nickname.
I like that. All right, we'll workshop it.
We're workshopping. That's what I got for alter egos.
Interesting. Or is it?
Or is it?
My topic is from the Monday, June 27th, New York Times by Drew Schmenner, or Dro Schmo. And it is 44 Cross, any junior to his father. Namesake.
Namesake. I was like, senior. I'm like, that's not right. Okay. Are you talking about juniors and seniors?
I'm talking about naming traditions around the globe. So, are you named after anyone?
No.
Me neither, really. My middle name, I do have an aunt that has my same middle name. but I
Oh.
don't know if
I have my
I'm
great
really named
grandmother's
after her.
middle name, or my middle name is Elizabeth after my great grandmother. That's the only
Mhm.
one. But Chelsea was, I was supposed to be named Victoria again after nobody.
But I feel like Victoria's powerful. But
It is.
you're more of a Chelsea.
I'm
Like
definitely
just
more of a
'cause
Chelsea.
for cheese.
Yes, exactly. Well, they had a baby book, and apparently
Mhm.
Victoria was like supposed to be like very regal, and Chelsea was supposed to be funny. So they picked Chelsea, which I'm
It
forever
worked.
grateful
You're
for.
funny, yeah. No, I like Victoria, but I feel like you don't seem like a Vicky to me.
No, and I hate
Maybe like a
that nickname.
Tory. I can see
Tory,
it as a Tory, actually.
Yeah, for sure. But cheese fits me better overall.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so there are different naming traditions all around the world. I'm going to talk about some older traditions that used to be around back in the day. We can figure out what our names would have been, like if that was us, and then ones that are still used today. So,
Okay.
and unfortunately, I couldn't go into too much detail for. There's just so much. So
yeah.
let's just see.
We forgive you. It's
Thank
fine.
you. We're going to begin in the British Isles in the 18th, 19th century. They had like every kid was named based on their birth order. There was kind of like a rule that most people follow. I don't know like how much this was really followed, but this is what the internet says. So the first son named after the father's father, second son named after mother's father, third son after the father, the fourth son after the father's oldest brother, the fifth son after the father's second oldest brother or the mother's oldest brother. So you better hope you got a lot of siblings.
Or
And
men
then-
in the family.
Yeah. Well, it's the same for the girls. So the first daughter was named after the mother's mother, second daughter after the father's mother, third daughter after the mother, the fourth daughter after the mother's oldest sister, and the fifth daughter after the mother's second oldest sister or father's oldest sister. So kind of crazy that the third daughter is like named, has the mother's same name.
Yeah. I would have been, you said it's the
First daughter's after mother's mother.
So Barbara. I would have been Barb.
Barbie.
I actually really like Barbie, but yeah.
Barbie's cute. I would have been Clara, which I like.
I love that for you.
Oh, well, too bad I didn't grow up in
That's
the
it.
British Isles in the 18th century. Okay, so this kind of like naming scheme was common in Wales, Ireland, and Scotland too. And some Scottish tradition went so far as to cover like 14 offspring of each gender just in case. So there was rules like going all the way.
Y'all are wild.
I know. It's like, and then everyone has the same name, but
Right.
we'll kind of get to other cultures that have that same
Okay.
issue. So, French and French Canada. It was kind of similar, but slightly different. Like a lot of traditions were like that, like first son named after the father's dad. So in French, it was like, yeah, first son was named after the father's dad, and then the second one after the mother's father. So sons were always named after grandfathers.
Okay.
And then daughters were named after grandmothers. But if a grandmother was deceased, she would get precedent. So it's usually like the dad's parents first.
Okay.
But if the mom's mom had died, then she gets her
oh,
name gets
thank
precedent.
God.
And then it says most children were given hyphenated first names, and sometimes those could cross gender. So a boy might be named Pierre Marie in honor of his female patron saint,
I really like that.
which is fun. What if everyone had like two? Well, I really like gender neutral names, but
Yes.
if people had like two names for an
Mhm.
alter ego, or
Mhm.
just you're feeling spicy. All right. Italian. A lot of Italians are named after patron saints or deceased relatives. It was common in Italy to name a baby after a deceased sibling, and that's because, if you're naming your kid to honor like your grandparents, and then at that time a lot of young babies died, and that baby died, and you had another kid, you were like, well,
Yeah.
I still want to pass that name on.
Yeah.
So sometimes you could have like siblings, deceased siblings with the same
Makes
name. So like
sense.
genealogy can get very confusing.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Let's go to Spanish. This one's
Okay.
wild. You may know that a lot of Spanish people have like a million names.
Yeah.
But they don't really have middle names, so they just have like first names and last names. And a lot of times babies are given two first names. So siblings, two first names, but it's like a compound name. So
Okay.
siblings may have the same first name. For
Mhm.
example, you could have Maria Lourdes and Maria Elena, but they might go by Lourdes and Elena, so they go
Right.
by their second first name.
Right.
But I think this is also why Hispanic families tend to have a lot of nicknames. Like if you've ever known a big Hispanic family, everyone's names are like Tito and Kako, and like no one goes by their real name because there's probably multiple people
Right, right.
with the same name. So just an example, if your name is Jose Antonio, you could go by Jose Antonio, you go by Jose, Pepe, which is a nickname for Jose, Antonio, Tonio, nickname for Antonio, Josito, Joselito, Joselin, which are all diminutives of Jose. So like a lot of times if your dad's name is also Jose, then you would go by Josito, like little Jose.
OMG.
Or you could do the same diminutive to your second name. So if your second name's Antonio, then Tonin, Tonito, Antonito,
Wow.
etc.
I love that.
Yes.
But it must be confusing.
Well, but you kind of have like your one nickname, and then that one's yours. And then
Right.
if there's someone else who has like a similar name to you, they'll have a different nickname. But a child gets both their parents' last names, with their father's name coming first. And when a woman gets married, she does not take on her husband's last name, but their children combine the first names, like the first last name.
Okay.
So, for example, there's a guy named like Jose Rodriguez Cabrera, and he marries a woman named Maria Ruiz Fernandez. She doesn't take his last names, but they take the Rodriguez from his name and the Ruiz from her name, and then their kids will be Rodriguez Ruiz,
Got it.
will be their last name. So the maiden name like hangs on one more generation than usual, but then it does also kind of fall off,
Okay.
drops off.
Yeah.
But if you're addressing someone who has two last names, like Jose Rodriguez Cabrera, you would defer to the first last name, so you'd call him Mr. Rodriguez, not Mr. Cabrera.
Or Mr. Rodriguez Cabrera.
You could do that too, but
Okay.
I think it's more common to say Mr. Rodriguez.
Okay.
But in a case where the mother's last name is more unique, like for famous people, they often go by that. For example, Picasso is Pablo Ruiz Picasso, but Ruiz is a very common last name, so he goes by Picasso.
Ah,
But in official records, he's filed under R for
interesting.
Ruiz.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
In the US, you see a lot of people hyphenate their last name because like Americans get confused by it just like we don't have the space for two last names.
Yeah.
So they have to hyphenate so they get both of them on like their license and other paperwork
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that. So there you have it, if you've ever
Damn.
wondered.
I have.
And now you know, kind
Now I
of.
know. Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to explain verbally. It's much easier
But-
like written out. But
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of this tradition before, so to hear it again makes it easier to
Mhm.
understand. So, yeah.
Okay, Polish Catholics. Polish Catholics typically name their kids after the saint whose feast day fell close to their birthday. So, for example, there's probably a lot of Polish boys born in early August named Dominic because Saint Dominic's feast day is August 4th. And this is similar to Orthodox Russian Catholics. They do something the same, but they used a Byzantine calendar, so they have different saints' day. If a girl's name fell close to a male saint's day, they might add an A to the name.
Ah,
So I looked up what our Russian saint day names would be. So your name would be Inna, Inna,
I literally am obsessed with that name.
and mine would be Natalia.
Cute.
And a child may grow up celebrating their birthday and their name day, which,
Nice.
like the saint's day.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is on the same day, though. Sorry. February 2nd is a
Oh,
Greek, or is it Orthodox Russian
you
saint
got
day.
efficiency.
Okay. So in Greece, Greek families typically name children after the father's parents first, and then the mother's parents if they have more kids. But it's like more male dominated. Girls could be named after their grandfathers. So like that's why I have Dimitra if your grandpa's name is Dimitri.
Mm-hmm.
Put an O on it. And then the father's name was often added as a middle name. So
Oh.
it's like, all right, enough. We
Yeah.
get it. Give the
Yeah.
mom side something. Scandinavia. Scandinavia used a patronymic surname system in the early 20th century. So, for example, if a man named Hans had a son named Lars, his name would be Lars Hans' son. And if he had a daughter named Anna, it would be Anna Hans' daughter. So this also gets confusing for genealogists because siblings of different genders don't have the same last name, and also the last names don't pass down through generations because it's just named after your dad's first name.
Damn. Yeah. Damn.
Permanent surnames didn't become official in Sweden until 1901 and in Norway until 1923.
Wow.
And according to this article, Iceland still uses patronymics. So this is true.
Godspeed.
If you're Icelandic, let us know.
Let us know.
Whereas most countries skip duplicates, if both grandfathers were named Per, which is a Scandinavian family might wind up with two sons named Per.
I love
So,
that, actually.
Like The Adventures of Pete and Pete,
Yeah.
if you ever watched that.
Uh,
And then duplications could also occur if a sibling was really sick at the time a new baby was born and they're like, this other kid's not going to make it. Let's give the name to this baby, but then the kid recovers and you have two kids with the same name.
oh my God.
Okay, in Jewish tradition, in the 1200s, many Jewish children were given two names, a religious one to be used in the synagogue, plus a secular everyday name. And in Jewish tradition, names are not assigned until the 8th day after a child's birth during the naming ceremony. Ashkenazic Jewish children were never named after a living ancestor. This is like still true today. They might be given a name that's similar but not identical to a deceased elder. So, for example, Samantha could be named after Samuel.
Okay.
According to Kevlar.com, the usual explanation for this practice is that the parents hope that in receiving the name of an admired family member, the child will emulate in life the virtues of the deceased namesake. To a certain extent, too, it is believed that the soul of the loved one's lives lives on in the child who now bears his name. According to my girlfriend, it's also because they don't want, if the angel of death like comes for an old person named Samuel, they don't want the angel of death to get confused and accidentally take baby Samuel. So it's like you have to name him after someone who's already died.
Okay.
Just in case.
Got it.
That's only Ashkenazi Jews, though.
Okay.
A lot of cultures have different naming ceremonies. So yeah, they have after 8 days after the birth, then that's when you have the naming ceremony and announce the name to everyone. A lot of cultures do something similar. So these are all from confetti.co.uk. The Wicmungan tribe in northeastern Australia carries out the naming ritual during the actual birth of the baby. The midwife calls out the names of all the child's living relatives one by one, and the name chosen is the one being called at the moment of the final stages of the birthing process when the placenta is removed from the mother.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But it's like, when do you start, I guess?
And do you just have like a piece of paper and you're just reading it? Hey.
Or like you could just get like one of those, you know, the boards, like spin it. And then when the baby's born, you just like stop, see what it lands on.
Yeah.
Okay. In Buddhism, when a baby is born into a Buddhist family, monks are invited to the house to bless the baby and chant from the holy text. Based on the exact time and date of the birth, an astrologer will draw a horoscope and inform the parents about the initial that the name should begin with. Then the parents choose a name that starts with that initial. Within 1 month of the birth, the baby is brought to a temple for a blessing and placed in front of the statue of Buddha. Offerings of flowers, candles, and incense are made, and the monk blesses the child and announces their name.
That's popular in, I think, a lot of Asian countries. Well,
yeah. So, speaking of, in China, it's unlucky to name your baby before the birth. The meaning of the name is usually personal and known only to the parents. Newborn babies sometimes get a plain, ugly, or meaningless name to trick evil spirits into ignoring them, and then later on, they are given an adult name. When the baby's name is chosen after birth, the naming while the baby's name is chosen soon after birth, the naming celebration does not take place until 100 days after the baby's born. This is called the Hundreds Day Party, and it's to celebrate the baby's survival of the crucial first 3 months of life. Guests come, drink tea, eat like special food, and then they announce the baby's name. All Chinese children of one generation share the same middle name. And there's a cycle of 24 generation names. It can take several hundred years to go through the cycle. Isn't that cool? So like all the cousins, all the same middle name. Sorry, that's really not cool. I don't know if they do the horoscope one, but that comes up in this one in Hinduism. So when a baby is born, lucky initials are calculated based on astrological constellations at the time that they're born. The family then has to decide on a name beginning with one of those initials. After 40 days, the baby is taken to a Hindu temple for the naming ceremony. The priest announces the name and says prayers for the long life, health, and well-being of the baby. Right, Inuit, the native people of Canada, Alaska, and Greenland, hold a naming ceremony called a teek when the baby is just a few days old. A teek means both name and spirit, and a baby is often named after a family member who has died. The Inuit believe in reincarnation and that the child receives the relative spirit as well as his or her name. So there are various ways of finding the right atik. Like, how do you pick what deceased relative to name your baby after? Well, they say that a birthmark in the same place as the departed could give you a hint. Or if you dream of a dead relative while you're pregnant, like the mom dreams of a dead relative, while she's pregnant. That could give you a hint.
Okay.
It is believed that a baby who cries incessantly when born will stop crying once the right atik is given. So it's very important to get the right one.
Okay.
All right, Japan. Boys in Japan are given a short, simple name soon after their birth, which they use until they're teens. And as they approach adult status, there's a special ceremony where they are given a longer, formal name to be used by everyone outside of their family. I kind of like that. Like, imagine if you, but I wouldn't trust it as a teen. I mean, I'm sure the parents probably choose a name. Like, if I could choose my own name as a teenager.
No. Could you imagine what we would have come up with? Something ridiculous if we were given that power.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people would just like choose it based on what was popular at the time.
Yeah.
Like if they did that here.
Yes.
Know?
Yes.
Like you'd have a lot of Katniss, Hermione's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God.
All right. Yes. I wish.
Yeah.
Latvian Christians. So this is like Orthodox, I think. I don't know if this is still done today, but a baby was given 3 godparents. So a girl has 2 godmothers, 1 godfather. A boy has 2 godfathers, 1 godmother. And the godparents host the naming ceremony 9 days after the baby's born. And it's the godparents who choose the name of the baby and announce it to everyone. It's like, you better be careful who you choose.
Yeah. Damn.
Okay, Islam. A Muslim baby must be named within 7 days. Once they have the name, it is announced at an akika ceremony. During the ceremony, the baby's hair is shaved and then their hair is weighed, and the family must give the same in weight in gold to charity.
Works for me.
Okay, Nigerian Yoruba. On the 7th day after the birth of a baby girl, or 9th day for a boy, a name is chosen for the baby. Apart from the family name, the child is given several other names. For example, they could give a name that has to do with the circumstance of their birth. So the name Idowu means child birthed after twins, or born after twins.
Oh.
They also may get a pet name that the parents will use for them that represents hopes that they have for the child. So Ayoki means one who is blessed. But at the naming ceremony, relatives are invited to add extra names. So a Yoruba child may end up with 12 or more names.
Yo.
Amazing.
I love that.
Okay, these are just like random name fun facts. In Denmark, parents must choose from a list of 7,000 pre-approved names. You can try to get a non-list name approved, but it can be difficult, and creative spellings of more common names are often rejected. So, if you're like a Utah-in, you could not move to Denmark.
You could not you would not survive in Denmark.
Germany and Denmark require that you have to be able to tell the child's gender from their name as well, which seems dumb.
Blank.
Yeah. And in Norway and Denmark, you can't use a last name as a first name either. We actually also have laws about naming in the US. Like, you can't name your kid like a curse word.
Right.
Or like something that's going to make their life horrible.
Right. I also really like, regardless of like gender binary bullcrap of girl and boy names, I just really like gender neutral names.
Yeah.
Like not being able to tell the gender of your child by the name. I think, like, I met a boy in college named Courtney, and it changed everything for me.
I know. I like Courtney I also feel like with those types of names, it's like, oh, I like Courtney as a guy's name, but I mean, it's fine as a girl's name, but it's not like.
Exactly. Yes. I watched like a British TV show, and one of the guys' names was Ashley. Because he was Scottish, and I was like, "You're fucking me up." I love that.
Courtney, Ashley, Leslie.
Yes, it's all amazing, and also I really like true gender neutral names like Lee.
Yeah.
For instance, one example. Either or.
Anything's possible. Either or neither. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
Either or anything in between.
If you could change your name, what would you change it to?
I wouldn't, because I'm an egotist. I like my name a lot, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what I would change my name to.
Well, you don't have to pick today.
Yeah, well, I feel like I would like a name that was, I mean, I like Grace because it is, like, I don't meet that many Graces, but also it's like a name that everyone knows how to spell or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would be cool to have like a super unique name,
Mm-hmm.
like Winona.
Right.
You know, like that type of situation.
I love when people are given. I love people that have family names that are just like so effing weird.
Yeah.
That you're like, that's a first name? That's interesting. You know, I love that.
Well, I knew a girl who it was like their family tradition that all the girls' middle names were the mom's maiden name.
My brother's middle name is my grandmother's maiden name. And
I don't want to like, I've avoided saying like maiden names or anything because I don't want someone to try and like, you know, sign into our passwords and like getting our security questions.
Exactly.
Right,
I'm definitely not doing that. I'm not telling you maiden names, but like I love my brother's middle name because it's a family name. And actually every one of my dad's siblings has a kid with that family name as a middle name or something. I did not get it because I was not the firstborn son. I was the firstborn.
Ugh, that's annoying.
Yeah, I would have loved it. Oh my God, Grace, it would have.
Tell me once we stop recording.
I have such an ego sometimes about my name that it just would have made me truly unbearable. Anyway, so.
Well, all right. If you, listeners, if you have any like interesting family tradition, naming traditions, let us know.
Yes, please do. We love that stuff.
Or like, are you someone who all your siblings have the same first letter of your name? 18 Kids and Counting style?
Like the Kardashians, K.
Yeah.
Who did it first? Who did it better?
Good thing there wasn't a Karen Kardashian.
Bad news bears. That would have been bad. It would have been bad.
So you can let us know by finding us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls.
And like always, keep curious out there, and we will catch you here next week.
We will, whether you like it or not. Okay?
And that's a fact. And until then, bye. Bye, 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 bye. Bye.